Bow. What's going on, everybody? We in
Yep.
here. It's another one. Yo,
Yep.
Reek, tell them why you fucking mad, bro.
No, don't
Tell,
start
tell them why you
that.
fucking mad, yo. Like, yo, you
Don't
know
do
what I'm
that,
saying?
bro. Nah, man.
We getting disrespected out here with some of these
Bro,
disrespectful ass fucking prices. You know what
bro.
I
Yeah.
mean?
So if anybody wants to know, I burn up Cartel's ears damn near every day. And recently, for the last week, I have been complaining about the price of parts. And you know what brought all this on, Cartel? You
What?
know, a fuck. Let me not curse. I want to get demonetized. A fender, a front
Yeah.
fender, carbon fiber front fender. So what did I do? I went and looked into the pricing of carbon fiber front fenders, and the average price was what? I think on the low end was like 300 and no, about two, no, $300, all the way up to $450 for a carbon fiber front fender. And that to me is ridiculous. Now, I have a disclaimer. I am not targeting anybody in this because I'm going to pay my money. I'm going to buy the fender. All right. I'm going to buy the fender. But over the last 2 weeks, I have had to purchase parts and I've been riding for quite some time. And I'm telling you, these prices of these parts is ridiculous. I don't know how I can keep racing or building bikes or anybody for that matter with
Yeah.
$450 fenders. So,
You know what's interesting? I wish I could go back maybe even 5 years ago to see what the cost of some of these things were. Yo, Swedish fish hit different, Adam. So don't get
for
it fucked
real,
up.
I
Swedish
know. I
fish,
don't know
bro.
what you're
Oh
hating
my
on.
god, it's different out here. But yeah, I think I would like to see the price difference from 5 years ago to now on things like that. You know,
I
but then you have like let's take like a smaller company like Carbomoto, right? Like shout out to them because that's who I got my carbon subframe and real tail section from.
mhm,
Um, they everything's handmade, right? And like they make very high quality stuff,
mhm.
and they're pricey, but you're getting like you could see the quality in the stuff that you get. So it's kind of, it's tough. Where do you differentiate between like the small guys and the bigger guys? It's that's a tough one, man. you know
I brother, I don't know, but what I can say is years ago, I mean, you got to look at it too. Like if you look at your OEM fairings, right? Like let's say, because everybody checks it at some point, especially when you wreck. Let's take the Busa for an example. The front cowl used to be on average about $450 to $500. That's a big OEM piece. You're
yeah,
telling me a land speed or what I consider to be a fake land speed fender is $300 to $400?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and of course, like the newer generation is gonna pay the money because hell, I'm gonna pay the money if I want the fender bad enough. But I just feel as if there is no way in hell that I should be paying. We're not going to get into the carbon fiber fairings. We're not going to get into the price of exhaust. Exhaust used to be, on the low end, let's say $1,200 all the way up to $1,500. Now they're what? $2,500 to $3,500 for exhaust. Why?
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of something to think about. If you buy a stock bike and you decide that you want to modify it, most people do what? Flash, tune, exhaust filters. What? That F185 is what? $300
Yeah,
for a filter.
I felt that. Yeah,
Like what?
MR12 was 135. Really?
Yeah, you know what? And he's right. Back in the day, I remember buying 5 gallons of MR12 for $120. That was max. I just bought MRX02 for $207, and the MR12 from the same vendor was 205, I think. $200.
Do you feel like how do you think COVID affected that? Right? Because like some of these manufacturers, some of these carbon manufacturers clearly outsource, right? Like they're just kind of like the middleman. So like how did that, like, especially fuel prices? You know what I'm saying? Because clearly shit, everything went up when after COVID. So I wonder how much that tainted the motorcycle industry as a whole.
You know what, brother? Like I don't know because like you could say it all boils down to the old business saying supply and demand. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? I don't, COVID has been gone for a minute now. I mean, granted, it's still kind of around, but I do realize even the prices of food has gone up. But
Yeah.
I really feel as if we as a like the entire industry, for instance, another example could be, our connecting rods for our bikes. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to call any vendors' names out, but I remember paying back in the day. Well, I could say it because I mean it's not a secret. So Wassner rods was like, let's say back in the day, 600, 700, $800. They have kind of remained constant. Like you could still get Wassner rods, for about $800, $900, depending on the vendor. Oh my God. Carrillo, I just paid, oh boy, $1,500, where you used to pay on the high end for Carrillo a little over 1,000. Webcams, you know what I mean? And I'm not like putting these vendors down. I mean, if I need rods, I'm gonna buy them. If you need rods, you're gonna buy them.
Yeah.
That doesn't change. That doesn't negate the fact. It's just why the hell are we paying so much money to modify our? You know what I mean? Like, why is it so expensive? Oh, he
I
said
think
the
I
TI
think
rods
I
are too
think
big.
that I think that it in places like that, right, with like aluminum and stuff like that, maybe prices of material as in bulk are higher,
Mm-hmm.
or they just like they're still playing off the COVID kick, like Adam said, bro, where they're still playing that card, and it's really not even that anymore. Everything's back to normal, but if they can make extra money, they're gonna do
Mm-hmm.
that. You know what I'm saying? I think they see how competitive roll racing has become too, right? And let's be honest, nowadays in the street, bro, like I was just talking to Adam about this shit earlier. Like, if you're a stock motor bike, you're really not competing like that. I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these guys are coming out and they're coming out heavy already with 3x6s or better, or at the bare minimum a head cam or whatever the case may be. You know, like
Right. I mean, so terrorist is talking about like his rods being 2,600, which is wild because Pankel is a good rod. But then if you look at the equivalent CP, they're what, 35, $3,600.
bro, that's so much money for fucking rods, bro.
Bro, that's what that see what I mean? Like when you put it into the perspective of this vendor is $2,600, but then on the low end is 1,500, $3,600 for four rods. This ain't rods for a Lambo, bro. it's for
Yeah, that's
it's
that. If
for
it
a
was a
fucking
Lambo,
Jixel
it'd be
1000,
4,000.
bro.
If,
like
if it
what?
was a Lambo, it'd be 4,000 per rod.
you know
Per.
what I mean? And see, yeah, Pankel owns Carrillo. What do you say? 3,500 to 4,000, depending on the bike. I know. See, and that's funny because like picture that though. Like you're trying to build your motor, and just one part in the motor is $4,000. That's
Yeah,
like
that should have. That's wild, bro. So like at that point, right? These guys that are selling packages that start at 10 grand to 15 grand for stroker motors, it's not sounding all that bad, bro. Now it depends on what the quality of parts you're getting,
right,
you know. But
right.
if you're paying 4 grand just for rods, bro, like a $10,000 motor package does not sound that bad anymore.
No, it's not. I think so. It really depends on obviously your pockets, right? And then how deep you want to jump in the deep end on building whatever said motor is. But I feel like the rods, even when I had to spend my $1,500, I was upset. Now you have competitors like Max Speed rods, right? You got some guys who use those rods, and those rods are like $300 to $400. They work for some people, they don't work for some people. I don't know. But $300 to $400 for rods in the grudge game, and you putting 600, 700 horsepower to them. You break a set of rods that's $300. That's not that bad.
No.
Because I mean, you only out of $300 versus what, 3,600? That's
See, and
crazy.
the grudge game is different too, right? Because those grudge guys probably got 3 blocks, or they probably got 3 blocks on deck. They probably got three of everything, bro. Right? Three trannies,
Mhm.
three blocks, three heads.
Three something, well, at least two,
You know,
depending
you
on
know
how
what I'm
serious.
saying?
Yeah, the
Worst
first
case
three pass.
scenario, bro. They over here, bro. They over here probably swapping one bearing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's just see if this pass. You know what I'm
Bro,
saying? Like, come on, man.
now see, I don't know who Ink Life is, 23, but he said my bike don't turn on. See, I think he's talking to you. Is he talking to me? I don't even know who that is.
He ain't talking to me. You know what I'm saying? My
Well, he
bike
got to
turned
be
on
talking to me.
right now. But he might be talking to Adam. He might be
Oh,
talking,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's in the chat.
and you
Yeah.
might want to retract that statement, Ink Life, because his bike actually does turn on right now.
Oh, he's talking to
Oh,
the
okay.
Jixer. Okay.
Yeah, he's
But
talking to Chris.
I mean, even so, getting back to the fender, right? So let's say you want, for whatever reason, the trend is like all these aerodynamic stuff, whatever, right? So if I did my like beer math, let's say if I keep it whole numbers, $400 for the front fender, you got carbon fiber all throughout your bike, right? So by the
Yeah,
time you carbon fiber your entire bike, the average kit is what? At least $2,000, at least
yeah.
that. Shocks are what, over 1,000?
Yeah, 1,000 to shit. I know shots that cost fucking 1,500. You know, I think I don't even yeah, they get expensive, bro.
Yeah, and then I see some of the guys, man, they got the, these carbon fiber, Rotobox and or VST wheels. That's going to be $3,000 to $4,000 too. Even on the core moto end, they can go up to $3,000. So now you're looking at, you haven't even touched the motor and you're pushing that 10K range. That's crazy.
Well, yo, right? Even a build like a Stellar, for example, right? Like I bought my bike. It was pretty much set up as far as bolt-ons. You know what I'm saying? And like it was set up. It just like, you know what I'm saying? I did a lot of the weight reduction on the bike.
Hmm.
And bro, I'm into that bike for ridiculous amounts of money, right? But then you got to look at what's ridiculous, right? Because carbon is not cheap.
I can see that. Yeah.
You know
What
what I'm
is ridiculous? That's subjective.
saying?
You're
That's
right.
subjective. So, right,
Yeah.
like, 20,000 for some people, is ridiculous with the cost of the bike, but I don't think it is, because in all reality, to make anything even remotely competitive,
Hmm.
I don't know, dude. I would say if you got a deal on the bike, maybe, you know what I'm saying? But if you're going like any Jigsaw, right? Any like 2017 and up Jigsaw, 2017 and up Cowie, BMW, whatever. You're getting a nice stock bike for maybe 15 to whatever $1,000, right? And then 25 to $30,000, and it might be working,
Right.
depending on your weight and all that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's right there, 10K and the motor ain't shit anymore, like pretty much. And what's the date on that? You know what I'm
Well,
saying? They should come
he's
motor should come with expiration dates
he's
nowadays.
well, he's saying he's saying that's versus weight reduction, but then I don't know. I have to beg to differ. It depends. If you play devil's advocate, the weight reduction stuff is going to fit and not break. You can spend $20,000 on a motor and then last one pass. So I think it kind of depends on like, like how deep you want to go, but like what risk you're willing to take as well. 600 is great again. Yeah, yeah. Well, I got several 600s, but I just think that, and I was thinking about it not just the roll racing, because I got some projects, but I was thinking about drag racing, road racing, like any form of racing. If you're just a
Drag race,
motorcycle enthusiast,
bro. Drag racing, depending on how deep you are into drag racing, if you're out here really trying to be competitive, it's double, triple the money than roll racing.
no, can't say that. It used to be, but these guys now roll race. Look at your bike.
No, no, and listen, I'm not, but you got to understand, right? The amount of events you have to go to, right? And you're doing multiple passes. Like I feel like those drag racing events are way more consistent than a roll race event, right?
Well,
Like
see,
unless you're setting up money races every weekend.
Well, so we're not even talking about the actual event. We're just talking about before you even walk out the door and go to your trailer, before you fly to Florida. We're talking about as your bike sits when you walk into your awesome ass studio, how much money you had to spend on that bike, even to date, even though it was kind of hooked up. Like, look at all the money you put into it already. That's crazy. When you really, I mean, it's our love and passion, so of course, but
You know what I think of a lot, bro, and I love my bike. If I would have sat with it a little bit longer, right? If I would have chose a different platform to start with,
man, so
you know.
okay. You can't avoid like the hard parts course. And what I call hard parts is like, billet cranks, rods, pistons. Well, depends, but pistons, that sort of thing. Like a lot of the internals to motors, like obviously BMW, like the Europeans have the European tax. But for the most part, all of that remains constant. Boost is included. Any Japanese bike you want to crank, you still have to pay for it. But if you would have started off with that stupid Japanese bike called a Gixxer, you probably would have spent way less money and gotten a lot more bang for your buck
Yes.
because it's just, but it's funny though, because, and I know people will argue with this, but stock to stock, I hate to say it, Gixxers ain't shit. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of stock platforms that'll run over a Gixxer. Stock to stock. I mean, hell, it's not, I mean, it's math. There's
No, I can agree with you there, right? But let me ask the chat this, right? Let me ask you guys: do you guys feel like the Jigsaw platform, right, holds value? At the end of the day, right, when you're all said and done, do Suzuki's hold value like that? I think maybe Busas do. You guys can tell. I don't know. I'm not a Busa guy.
they
So
don't. They
they,
don't.
they don't. So
Uh-uh.
what Suzuki, right, holds value compared to a BMW? You know what I'm saying? Like I could put my BMW back to somewhat stock right now and get a pretty good dollar for it, as opposed to a Jigsaw. I'm not too sure, bro.
So like, and it's funny. I know it was about how much money we're spending, but I guess it's along the same line. So you brought up a good point. BMW, Aprilia, Ducati, that sort of thing. It's all European, right?
Yeah.
So like their resale value is always a good portion of what you've already spent on it. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get some of your money back. I think the only Japanese bike that probably makes sense where you can get a little bit out of it is the Ninja H2. And that's kind of sort of like a novelty. But
I
a
don't know
Jix,
about that, Ahmad.
what do you
Ahmad
say?
is saying that the BMW depreciate, but I don't think so, bro. Because I have a
Hey,
2014, bro, and to get a clean
no.
2014, bro, a clean one, anywhere from 13 to 15 grand, dude. And that depends on where you live.
Yeah, that is because 13, 14 now is more in the 9,
I
10
don't
range.
know where you're getting that, because over here, BMW's my 14 over here, right? And I feel like Florida is a different animal when it comes to bike
Oh,
sales, right?
wild
Because
boy in the house.
20K on a bike down there ain't shit. 20K over here on a bike is a lot of
Hmm.
miles.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, that is what it is.
But the European bikes do hold their value, like you said, a lot more. And who said something about a Gixxer holding more value? What?
Ahmad said that they depreciate
There's
quick.
no,
I don't know
there's
about
no
that.
way. I can pull up Cycle Trader right now, and the most beat up BMW and or Ducati will still outshine a new Gixxer. But I mean, that's just the name of the game. I mean, Japanese versus European, Gucci versus I don't know what because I'm not a clothes guy. Echo, boom, because Echo, bro.
Yo, if they sell for 8,000 in Qatar, that makes sense on why Alif was selling that fully set up Jigsaw 2017 or whatever it was for only 12,000. That makes a lot of sense. We might need to go to Qatar and rack up on
Hey,
some bikes, yo,
my
because
man, my man said the BMW 2014 motors are ass and they're slow. No, actually not. And actually, if you look at 99 and 10 when the initial S1000 came up, they dumbed that down because they knew people would kill themselves on it. That bike had like 225 horsepower stock. Bet y'all didn't know that. So, but anyways, I digress. So, getting back to why we're spending all of this money, well, no. So they try to mitigate that by putting that stupid RPM deal on it, where you can't go over 9,000 RPM or whatever it is.
I remember
That limiter on it,
yeah.
Because the initials, man, people were just blowing them things up left and right.
8/10 in a quarter mile, Ahmad. That's impressive.
That is. I wonder if that's because them guys over there, who is it? Bahrain. They got some fast S1000s over there. One of them went into the sevens, but it was a stroker though.
It was a stroker.
It was a stroker S1000, yeah.
Quarter mile. Wow.
Yeah, that's moving. But
if you have me on Instagram, if you have any videos of that, send them to me. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, they did slightly, but I think if you look at bikes as a whole, like they never do anything ground moving, right? So like they'll change things in the head or some cam profiles or something, and that's where you get like a 2015 made 199 and then the 16 made 201. It's like 2 to 3 horsepower or something stupid.
Like slight differences.
Right. Like there's no major differences. And I mean all the manufacturers do it. They come out with so like it's funny, the 22 to 23 S1000, right? Like everybody's like, oh my God, look at it. Bro, it's the same bike with wings. It really is. It's the same platform with wings. But everybody's like, oh my God, like it has wings. Like
I hate that. I hate that. The little winglet things that they have. I'm not a fan of it.
But
I feel like they have a lot of different variations of that bike, bro. And I'm still, as much as I like the K67s, I'm still not impressed with them in stock form for the money. Bolt on for bolt on, I probably would pick a Jigsaw over a K67.
I think what's up, Jack? I think the K67 as a street bike is probably like leaps and bounds above like the K46. All the electronics and bells and whistles and stuff, like it's crazy. Although all of that stuff is more intrusive than it needs to be. So my wife, right, she rode the K67 the other day, and the first thing that happens is as soon as you change the tires or you want your tire pressure to be whatever it is, the bike basically says, hey, I have sensors on here. This is not, I don't know, 28 PSI. Now you got to ride around with a screen basically telling you that you need to pull over. You're wrong. Just because you're riding with your own whatever PSI you want to ride with. That is aggravating. Yeah.
Do you have to go into the ECM and literally delete all that stuff if you have woolage type of thing? Like you got to get rid of all these like restrictions and shit?
So the way that I've tried to circumvent the system is I would put it into, and everybody who has a K67 knows, so you put it into track mode. And a lot of times, like a lot of those sensors are not turned off, but they're turned off. So like if you disconnect your mirrors, you don't like riding with mirrors. I don't either. Nah. But if you disconnect it, you got to put it in like one of the race modes and basically go into it and then turn it off so it'll stop popping up, because that'll be another thing.
What's a mirror? I don't know what a mirror is.
I know, I mean, emissions and all of this stuff. I talked to Mr. Ellis, which Chip Ellis is one of the guys. I'm gonna have him. I spoke to him yesterday, and I think eventually we're gonna have him on. Like he makes the awesome sidewinders, man. For I think
you told me. You told
me. Talk about DME and all of that, but he's one of those guys that he even told me he's keeping his exhaust the same price, but his materials has gone up exponentially. So I'm like, how is it that he's able? I don't know what his overhead is, but how is he able to still keep a decent price of exhaust? But then you got other manufacturers that's coming out and adding $500, $600, $800 to the cost of their exhaust, and then we go and buy it.
I think that's a choice, though. I think that's a choice that the company makes as a whole, right? Or
Uh-huh.
whoever the powers that be, either they want to keep it more affordable, right, and keep
Hmm.
a consistent fan base, or risk it all and jack up their prices because the market is in demand, right? And enough people, you get enough influencers, right, to rock one product, right? And a lot of these young kids that have the credit card cash or whatever the case may be, right? They're gonna jump all over all the shit that you see, you
I
know.
don't know because I do wonder. Like, I'll call a name, well, two names. So, like, one thing that I've been looking into is everybody knows Montgomery Motorsports. Like, they're one of the primary guys that makes the carbon fiber stuff, right? I know they catch a bad rap for fitment and all of this other stuff, but let's be real. Like, any type of carbon you purchase, like, it's not gonna fit. It's just, you know what I mean. You're gonna have to modify it, some more than others. But when I look at their prices, and perhaps it's because it's made in the USA versus all of the carbon makers that's overseas, even then you can see a disparity between their pricing, Montgomery's pricing versus a lot of the guys that's overseas. And I'm wondering, like, why is that? And in some cases, in the way it seems, it looks like they have more, like their quality is more. You know what I mean? Like, it's way better than what we.
Over than what we have here.
Yeah, I mean, but I can't. But then again, I can't really say that because I have several Montgomery Motorsports carbon fiber, and it's not bad. I mean, it might not be perfect, but it's not bad. I've gotten Limburger carbon fiber that didn't fit, and I had to send it back or break it and get my money back. You know who Limburger is? I mean, they make stuff for BMW. So I don't know. I just,
Do you have some of that Limburger stuff?
yeah, I got a lot of it. So you remember that 2016? That's like 90% carbon I built for wifey.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and this was back then, right? So this was like, she left, she went overseas, and it was a present for her. I spent, to include the carbon fiber tank, well over $5,000 in carbon on that bike. Now, if you take that and you look at the cost now, that's more like $7,000 to $8,000. But why? Like, what happened in between that year and here? I mean, COVID did happen, but why is it such a big gap in pricing? I don't understand it. I just don't.
Mm. Mm. I almost feel like, right, like for example, almost every Jigsaw that I saw, except for like a few, looked the same in Miami, right? And a lot of them were all carbon. So just think about all these different companies that, offer all this carbon, all this carbon, all this carbon, and people are just buying it. What up, Will? How you doing, brother? Thank you
Oh,
for
what's up,
joining.
Will?
Bro, it's almost like, why are they gonna cater, right, to anybody, or right,
Mhm.
or people like us that are sitting here kind of questioning prices when they have just people are buying? Like, none of these companies are starving, bro, right?
Mhm.
None of them are starving. They're all making money. They're all breaking bread. So it's like the handhelds, right? Multiple people have them. They're all making money.
Oh boy, don't handheld from who? I
It
said I
doesn't
wasn't gonna
matter.
do this.
They're all. I'm not gonna get into that, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
They all
All
got
right, thank
fucking.
you. All right.
They all got handhelds,
Mm.
bro, and they're all making money.
Yeah.
So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's kind of like, well, what is why are they not gonna sell a handheld for $1,000 or whatever the hell they're going for?
Now, so I agree with, so R&D does cost. That is right. R&D does cost.
Yes, yes.
And I don't even know if I can correlate that to those who may know a bunch of information about setup of a bike, but then charging because you asked a simple question about gearing or how to set up your shock or whatever the case. You know what I mean? There's somewhat of a correlation to that. Just because it
So
seems like
how many of
everything's
these
money
companies?
driven.
You think all these companies are doing their own R&D, or are they paying for already having blueprints and shit like that, right? Like, how many of these guys are actually putting in the legwork, and how many people are actually buying, like, or buying a fender from someone else, and you know what I'm saying, taking their shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, you know, one of the companies, and I don't know how true this is, so don't sue me, Voodoo, but Voodoo makes some decent stuff. And they're very like well known for either copying but still making some good stuff in the drag race community.
Yeah,
But
Carbon Easy guys. Carbon Easy. He's from Brazil. My people, my Brazilian people. They
but
do make some pretty nice carbon. I've seen. Listen, I've seen multiple companies. Carbon Easy, RM Carbon, make really nice stuff. Carbomoto makes really nice stuff. Motor Fix, they make really nice stuff. Although I had an issue with their handlebars, that myself, they broke on me in Miami. But I mean that is what it is, right? Like carbon is carbon, bro. Like shit happens. But
I, I really think with that though, like you reached out. Okay, no, you reached out to Motorfix or you reached out to a Leaf. See, that's the thing because it seems like a Leaf is like the middleman in all of this. I think he's like the primary distributor to the US for like all these companies making his stuff outside of his own brand. At least that's what it seems like. But
I reached out to a Leaf. I reached out to a Leaf to no avail. You know what I'm saying? And hey, maybe maybe whatever the case is, I didn't get that resolved. I ended up just buying another pair because I wasn't gonna wait.
right
It wasn't enough money for me to sit there and wait for some replacement handlebars. You know what I'm saying? I just
now,
bought new ones.
you know what is funny? I'm glad you said that, man. So like, and this is not to put any vendor down, right? But you bought a Leaf and or Motor Fixes, right? My carbon fiber handlebars are from Montgomery Motorsports. And so far, right, like I haven't had any issues, but then you had an issue. So then, but it's funny though, because Motor Fix is like and Carbon, like all these guys, it's $100 all the way up to $165,
Yeah.
$175 for clip-ons. So again, I'm like, where is it where it's just is that big of a gap of $50 to $60 in the same part outside of
Yeah.
name? Where is that?
And maybe that's the difference, right, between a company that really puts in the legwork on R&D and a company that doesn't.
Right.
They're just copying because the
I,
cost has to be different. The
bro,
cost
I,
has to be different.
I can tell you, and this is no hit against any vendors, but
What's up, Matt?
I will give Montgomery Motorsports the props because it seemed, remember, they had a lot of this carbon stuff, even though it was expensive. They had all of these carbon fiber, land speed, boost offenders, all of this stuff well before this became a trend, and then everybody else picked up on it. And now they're, you know what I mean? It's almost like they're low, but like they're cutting the cost from something that was created over here. I know that's just business, but if I've been around long enough to see these were first, and now they're offering it substantially lower because a Montgomery fender, I want to say it's like 450 to at least $450. I think is one of them. I can look it up, but I know that was one of the high ones. But then Carbon Easy or somebody is $300. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Carbon Easy, they definitely do a lot of R&D over there, man. I see. I've backtracked on those guys, and they do a lot of R&D over there. Now let's get something correct here for the chat.
Uh-huh.
How many of you guys are actually riding your bikes right now this second? None of you guys, because you guys are here on the chat. So therefore, all your fucking bikes are parked. Mic drop.
300. Yeah, you see what he said, 380 to 500. I think it was either Motor Fix or one of them guys. I think their fender was like 300. And I think RM, he makes some good shit out of Florida. And I want to say his is 300 and something, like low 300s.
Yeah.
Well, Will, you're not riding if you're on the thing, but I mean that's that. But that it's funny. I use this as an example. The fender was what irritated me because that's something that like helps. But for me, if I was looking at spending $10,000 on my bike,
fucking Will Heat.
I'm immediately like, I'll get the exhaust, of course, and I'll get the filter, and of course I need like a tune or something. But I'm immediately looking at a minimum head and cam or something. like something that's going to net me real power for my money, because these parts are ridiculous now.
It
Yeah,
is.
I know.
It's all ridiculous, right? It's almost like if you're so let's say you're a 120, 140 pound rider, right? 30 to 50K, yeah. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no kids, Chris. We got child support to pay out here. You know what I'm saying? But yo, regardless, right? Like
30 to 50K for what though? What is he talking
a
about?
build, a build.
Huh. That's on the low end. 30 to 50K is not, bro.
Yeah, listen.
that's
Chris,
a whole
let's go
nother.
take
Yeah.
a walk throughout fucking Reaper's garage, and you'll probably shit yourself and go to the army early. I'm just saying.
No, I make dumbass decisions all the time, but 30 to 50K, like that's these pro street bikes, man. These grudge, man, 50 to 100K. And if you sell it overseas, I know these guys overseas in Dubai and stuff buy the bikes from the US for way over that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Moore, like Chris Moore or some of these like HTP, all them guys, them bikes are like proven. Yeah, they'll sell them things overseas for thousands of dollars. I mean, hundreds or something, at least 100,000.
Really?
They got the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
got the money. Well,
Yeah.
see, DJ Flacco, why we all broke though? We broke because we spending $500 for fenders. Why are we spending that money on fenders? Why?
Facts.
Why are we spending? Why are motorcycle rides more expensive than car rides? You're a car guy, Cartel. How much is an aftermarket ride for a car?
Bro, honestly, it's around the same price as bike shit, which is wild to me. But it's very like Carrillo to man, there's so many different. It's been a long time since I've even dealt with building anything for a car, bro. But these bike prices are right there and the same, for a smaller motor, and that's the crazy shit,
That is. Now maybe there's some R&D like that's involved for like a four-cylinder, a little tiny motorcycle motor versus a car motor, but I just don't understand it. Pistons. It's funny because like my pistons for my Beamer was what, 12 or $1,300, and they're like custom, but I mean $1,300 for some pistons.
So let me ask you this, right? Because I feel like I might have asked Mike this, but I don't remember 100%.
See,
You guys leave your blocks?
Huh?
Do you
He
guys
just said it. Okay, so yeah, some rods for a car is cheaper than the ones for his booster. How?
That's wild, bro. That's wild.
Well, Will, we know that, but we're discussing this because I feel like, not saying we can boycott the industry, because we're not going to do that. Like if I want a part, like I'm gonna have to pay the money. I have paid the money, but I think it deserves a look, just because many people, like, they get into the bike game and they just start spending money just to be competitive. But why are you spending $30,000 on a stock bike?
So right, Ahmad just said the car world is more expensive. So to give you some insight, Reed, because you're not really into the cars like that, right? If you get yourself into anything fast, so let's say if you do, if we start at the bottom, so let's say we do like a GTR. You start with bolt-ons in a nice turbo kit. It might net you like 800 horse. The minute you open up that motor, bro, you're done for. To build a crazy transmission on a GTR is $30,000. Just the trans. Okay? And every time you break that, so that's why a lot of these GTRs roll race. Because dig racing, you're gonna break trannies, $30,000 a transmission, bro.
Okay. I mean, and I don't really know how much.
But GTRs are one of they're profound, man, in the way to me, it's like driving an Altima. The motor's what makes that car special. But
I don't think any bike's transmission would be $30,000. But Yeah, I've never seen anything like that, bro. That's expensive. And that's why I don't do nothing with cars. But what I can tell you is, so like, well, yeah, it's over 1,000. I know that.
No,